Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are taking a fascinating look at the hidden architecture of nature's ultimate survivors. I want you to picture this, a great white shark cruising through clear blue water. This thing is roughly 5 meters long, weighs well over 1,000 kilograms, and has essentially no natural predators. By all reasonable measures, it's the perfect predator, right? I mean, we tend to look at creatures like this and just see flawless biological machines. But today, we're going to uncover a completely different story. You see, for roughly 450 million years, the great white shark's lineage has been relentlessly optimizing its design. This animal is terrifyingly capable. Its teeth regenerate continuously in this crazy conveyor belt fashion, literally cycling through tens of thousands of teeth in a single lifetime. And 450 million years of evolution has given it plenty of time to perfect this design. It features a sensory system so advanced, using these electroreceptors called the ampulla of Lorenzini, that it can actually detect the heartbeat of a prey animal buried in the sand at the bottom of the ocean. It senses pressure changes that are completely invisible to anything else. It is an absolute masterpiece of evolutionary engineering.
So if you're another creature in the ocean, how do you possibly defeat an invincible, 5-meter-long biological machine? What happens when a highly intelligent marine mammal like an orca suddenly shows up? You might think it requires this massive, violent clash of titans, right? But the orca doesn't overpower the shark with sheer brute force. Instead, it uses a tactical genius that seems almost offensive in its simplicity. It just exploits a hidden flaw in the shark's perfect design.
The orca simply flips the great white shark upside down. That's it. This triggers a bizarre phenomenon known as tonic immobility. Now, this isn't a learned response. It is a hard-coded neurological reflex tied directly to that highly advanced sensory processing system we just talked about. The exact moment it gets inverted, the most dangerous thing in the ocean goes completely paralyzed and motionless. The orca then leisurely accesses the shark's calorie-dense, squalene-rich liver and just leaves the rest. 450 million years of ruthless optimization defeated by a literal power-off button. The orca found an Achilles heel that is the direct shadow side of the shark's greatest strength.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The cost of extreme specialization. Because guys, this isn't just a shark problem. Every single animal carries a specific vulnerability built into the very architecture of what makes it extraordinary. Extreme physical statistics always demand extreme biological compromises.
Let's look at the fastest land animal on Earth. The cheetah can hit speeds above 110 kilometers per hour. Its entire body plan prioritizes locomotive performance with a single-minded obsession. We're talking a flexible spine that acts almost like an extra limb, semi-retractable claws that work like running spikes, and massive nasal passages. But building that speed means stripping away literally everything else. This lightweight frame leaves the cheetah with a dangerously low bite force compared to lions or leopards. It can't even crush bone. And most importantly, after an exhaustingly fast sprint that superheats its metabolism, it is completely unable to defend its hard-earned meals from scavengers.
Now, what's really interesting about this data is the sheer energetic tax this vulnerability creates. Because the cheetah is so wildly depleted after a hunt, it regularly gets bullied off its food by hyenas, vultures, and lions. Cheetahs actually lose an astonishing 15% of their kills to other predators. That is a massive caloric penalty to pay. And this physical weakness is compounded by a terrifying genetic one. About 10,000 years ago, a severe population bottleneck left cheetahs with so little genetic diversity that skin grafts between totally unrelated cheetahs show minimal rejection. They are essentially identical twins, which means the fastest animal on Earth is completely running out of genetic options to adapt to new threats.
Or take the mantis shrimp. This little creature possesses a strike club that accelerates faster than a bullet and can literally shatter aquarium glass. It also rocks an incredibly complex 16-channel color vision system, but all that immense offensive power comes with a severe structural compromise. To maintain that weapon, the mantis shrimp has to periodically shed and regrow its clubs through molting. While those new clubs are mineralizing and hardening, the shrimp has absolutely zero offensive or defensive capabilities. The most powerful punch in the crustacean world is basically forced offline for weeks at a time, leaving this mighty warrior hiding in a state of total, defenseless vulnerability.
And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanical vulnerabilities that always come with extreme adaptations. Look at the giraffe. To pump blood 2 meters straight up to its brain, it needs an enlarged heart and a cardiovascular system pushing out roughly twice the blood pressure of a human. But what happens when that massive hydraulic system has to lower its head to get a drink of water? To prevent a dangerous overpressure that would literally burst its brain, the giraffe has to awkwardly splay its front legs out into this wide, unstable split just to reach the water. In this compromised position, where it's least able to stand up quickly and flee, it is desperately exposed to ambush predators like lions.
Section 2. Trapped by the environment. So we've seen that physical extremes create physical vulnerabilities. But what happens when an animal's incredible evolutionary design is entirely dependent on an invisible cage, meaning the exact specific conditions of its immediate surroundings?
Consider the hippopotamus. This is Africa's most dangerous giant. It has 50-centimeter canine teeth and can deliver catastrophic bite forces. Seriously, it could destroy a crocodile in a direct confrontation. Yet, its ultimate weakness is shockingly mundane: a sunny day. Unlike most large mammals, hippos lack sweat glands. Their skin desiccates extremely rapidly in dry air. So, a creature capable of dominating almost anything in its path is forced to spend its daylight hours submerged in water. Not out of philosophical preference, but because a few hours in the African afternoon sun would cause progressive, severe physical harm.
Speaking of crocodiles, they have their own environmental chain. The saltwater crocodile is a masterclass in ancient engineering. With a staggering 16,000 Newton bite force, this predator design has survived essentially unchanged for 200 million years. I mean, it outlasted the dinosaurs in 5 mass extinction events. But it's ectothermic. Its body temperature is entirely dictated by the environment. The moment the water temperature drops below 15 degrees Celsius, its muscle contractile speed and metabolic performance just plummet. This ancient, seemingly perfect predator is left cold, stunned, and completely helpless, perfectly demonstrating how environmental dependency dictates survival.
Up in the sky, the albatross faces a similar absolute limitation. Using a technique called dynamic soaring, these birds can circumnavigate the globe across the Southern Ocean, spending years at sea with almost no muscular energy expenditure. It's incredible. But there is a catch. Their long, narrow wings are brilliantly optimized for extracting energy from oceanic winds, which actually makes them terrible at, well, flapping. If an albatross gets caught in a windless calm, it faces an immediate energetic emergency. The bird that can effortlessly cross oceans is entirely grounded and helpless the very second the wind stops moving.
And perhaps nothing shows the true danger of environmental dependency quite like the monarch butterfly. This insect, with a brain smaller than a grain of rice, executes a miraculous thousands of kilometers long migration. It relies on a fully integrated sun compass, a circadian clock, and magnetic sensitivity. But this flawless navigation system basically engineers its own doom. The entire eastern North American population converges on one tiny overwintering area in the Oyamel fir forest of central Mexico. By being perfectly engineered to find this specific, microscopic target, they created a catastrophic single point of failure. Just one ice storm, one logging operation, or one disease outbreak in those few hectares could wipe out the entire migrating population.
Let's move to Section 3, Hidden Biological Timers, and see how this builds. Because sometimes the real threat isn't an environmental shift or a predator's clever exploit. Sometimes the weakness is a tragic internal countdown or a super fragile external dependency built right into the animal's life cycle. The elephant is a prime example of an internal countdown. Elephants are brilliantly intelligent creatures. They show empathy, they recognize themselves in mirrors, and they maintain these incredible decades-long emotional bonds. An adult consumes roughly 150 to 300 kilograms of coarse vegetation a single day. But to process all that food, they rely on a very strict biological timer. Elephants cycle through 6 sets of grinding molar teeth in their lifetime. When that 6th and final set naturally wears away from all the grinding, they just can no longer chew effectively. So, despite their massive size and profound intellect, they inevitably lose condition and face a literal countdown to death written right into their jawline. Lions, on the other hand, are highly optimized for stalking and sprinting in the savanna. They are the undeniable apex predator of their niche. But their survival isn't just about sharp teeth. It is strictly reliant on a fragile social structure. Lion prides completely depend on female coalition stability to hunt and raise cubs. When that stability shatters, whether that's due to severe droughts dispersing their prey or new, violent males taking over a pride and wiping out the cubs, the entire reproductive and survival foundation of the pride collapses. They are basically invincible as a unit, but completely vulnerable to their own complex social dynamics.
For the blue-ringed octopus, the dependency is microscopic. This tiny creature carries tetrodotoxin, a neurotoxin so potent it has no known antidote and can easily kill a human. Those flashing blue rings are a striking, terrifying warning to stay away. But here's the secret. The octopus itself is completely soft, slow, and defenseless. It entirely lacks the ink or camouflage defenses of larger octopuses. And the craziest part? It doesn't even produce its own venom. The tetrodotoxin is actually synthesized by symbiotic bacteria living within its tissues. The ocean's most toxic animal is entirely reliant on an outsourced bacterial community for its ultimate survival.
Section 4. The logic of natural selection. When you look at all of these bizarre vulnerabilities, the shark's paralysis, the cheetah's weakness, the butterfly's pinpoint target, it brings us to a really important realization. These aren't biological failures. They are the absolute uncompromising rules of the game.
So the crucial point is this. Every adaptation costs something. Biological resources are finite. When you build the most comprehensive sensory package in the ocean, you're forced to build a vestibular system that can be neurologically short-circuited. When you allocate absolutely everything toward blistering speed, you have nothing left to pay for jaw strength or genetic diversity. Every single evolutionary superpower is bought by sacrificing capabilities somewhere else in the biological ledger.
You see, evolution doesn't care about making a perfect machine. It only cares about what is good enough for a specific environment at a specific historical moment. Natural selection optimizes within strict constraints. But when that environment shifts, or a really smart predator like the orca figures out your biological trade-off, those invisible weaknesses suddenly become the most important thing about you. Survival isn't just about brute strength, it's about knowing exactly where the vulnerabilities are.
Which brings us to a final, pretty fascinating question. We've seen that the greatest biological strengths in the animal kingdom cast the longest, most dangerous shadows. Nature literally never gives a superpower away for free. So as you look at our own species, armed with our immense cognitive abilities, bipedal endurance, and extreme social complexity, I want you to ask yourself, if every animal strength demands a fatal trade-off, what biological price did humans pay for our own evolution? What are our hidden vulnerabilities, just waiting for the environment to change? Think about that and keep exploring the incredible mechanics of nature.